So this is the one we've all been waiting for. Stop turning it into a propaganda machine. And this one here, I'm gonna give credit to somebody, a viewer on my YouTube channel, the other day commented on it on one of my videos and said just this: stop turning Star Wars into a propaganda machine. And I had to take it because it's an excellent way of putting it. It's not wrong. I mean, in reality, this goes for all media. This isn't just Star Wars, but we're seeing it with Star Wars that this is really hurting the bottom line more than other franchises of late. The latest culprit of this is The Acolyte, a show that not so subtly pushed the showrunner's identity politics into Star Wars was panned from the outset. More than a year before its release, fans saw that not only did the creatives behind the project have little knowledge of the franchise, but quickly saw how little the actors cared about Star Wars themselves. Because of this, the fandom turned on the show very early on. To make matters worse, once The Acolyte did release, the production value was so low from a writing and creative standpoint that there was literally no redeeming quality to be found within the project, proving that it was nothing more than an outlet for pushing identity propaganda to children. Yikes. I mean,
spot on.
that is exactly what has happened with Star Wars. I mean, we saw, it was kind of relevant from a put a woman in it, make her lame and gay aspect, it started back with the sequel trilogy to a certain extent. Rey, why, when they put Rey in it, made Daisy Ridley the lead, wasn't anything, like, okay, that's fine. Daisy Ridley's fine. But then it was like they did a poor job writing her. And it's like, okay, what was the reason for putting Daisy Ridley in here? They had no direction for her. They had no idea what they were doing with her as a character. So it didn't need to be a woman. And then you start to see, I know I'm going to get crap for this, and I understand what it really is, people, so don't come at me. The Force is female. I know it was a Nike ad. I understand it was a Nike ad. But when you have the head of Lucasfilm, the person in charge of Star Wars, wearing a shirt that says the Force is female, when you have that perception, it's not good. So, of course, the perception around the sequel trilogy, the perception around Star Wars will then be the Force is female. You're pushing this female-driven story. So that wasn't good. So that's why you have all of these remarks. Put a female in it. You then have Holdo in The Last Jedi, who I very, very, very much remember them talking about the reason that she was put in that movie was because she was to have a relationship with Leia, that her and Leia had a relationship, but they pulled back on it. They didn't want to reveal that there was a relationship between her and Leia after Leia and Han broke up, but there was something there. There was something there. And they kind of pulled back on it a little bit. But you could tell, the purple hair, she was a strong, independent woman. And then the lingering hand holding between her and Leia before they left, there was something there. But they didn't want to, it was just under the surface, but it was there. Then in Rise of Skywalker, you had the first gay kiss in Star Wars. The first gay kiss in Star Wars in the Rise of Skywalker, everybody. They made a point to make sure you all knew that, to look for it. They told everybody before the movie came out, make sure you look for it. It's there. You start to see that it's not that it's there, because I couldn't care less that this stuff is there. But it's when you start to highlight it, when you start to, hey, look at all these check marks we marked off. Look at this. Look, we marked this off. We marked this off. Hey, guys, look at us. Look what we did. Look what we did. Look. That's when it gets to be a propaganda machine. That's when it gets to be, you're doing it for attention. You're doing it to be patted on the back. That is the problem. And that's where we're at with Star Wars right now.
Yeah, and I just looked it up, and like Vanity Fair, even Vanity Fair called it out, and they were like, are we really going to pretend the gay kiss in The Rise of Skywalker matters? J.J. Abrams talked a good game about representation, and then gave us 2 seconds of lip service between minor characters. That's pandering, not progress. And I, yeah, like it sounds like it wasn't enough for them. And listen, like, I'm not against like representation. I have no problem with a gay kiss in Star Wars. Gay people exist, like it's part of life. Having said that, I don't necessarily like it's. I also saw something earlier today on how Marvel is like completely sexless, and it's like superheroes don't even have private parts because there's like zero love interest in them. And so it's interesting that this is what Star Wars was doing. And I also think that, at the time, the progressive side hasn't gotten to where they are today. This was, 2019. So, but like the problem for me is not that. The problem for me is, I actually forgot about this. I don't even think I noticed it when I was watching the movie. I remember seeing something about it after, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I didn't even notice it." Because it was only 2 seconds. But my problem is Amandla Stenberg, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Making this show, and like the whole show, they're like touting their progressiveness, and then people have a problem with the show, and they're like, "Oh, well, you don't like that. We're progressive." Like, hey, I didn't complain about that. I didn't complain about anything, and I remember noticing Carrie Fisher, holding hands with the girl with the purple hair. I remember noticing that, and I was like, whoa, like you're doing that with Leia? Like, really? Like that was a little, because Leia's been around for so long and you never mentioned it, but now you do. Like, that to me sticks out like a sore thumb. But with the Acolyte, it's like, the show is garbage, okay? And like, you don't get to tell us we're bad people if you don't like the show. And this is something I've said on our show many times. Like, what is the purpose of it? Okay. Because the people making it know that we're not gonna like their show that they have been so irresponsible with. They got Kiadi Mundi wrong, who's like the only character in the show that is any significance. They have proven that they don't deserve to be making Star Wars. And then when guys like Slav and myself say we don't like it, now we're the bad guys. So it makes me think that their intentions aren't pure, and their intention isn't to make good content and have representation. It makes me think, because they're not going to make The Acolyte and have Slav and I go vote in November for Joe Biden. Okay. This is not the propaganda that is changing anyone's minds. So it makes me think that it's there to agitate us. It makes me think that is the goal, because the goal wasn't quality entertainment. The goal wasn't to push Star Wars further. And we're supposed to what? Not notice? Give me a break.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the expectation is with Star Wars at this point, but this is, I think they just have to stop this. I think they have to stop with the propaganda. I think if they just put a halt to it, don't hire somebody like this, like Leslie Headland. You don't hire somebody like that, because first off, she has no talent at all. If you watch this show, there's no talent there.
Yeah.
You get rid of that. You hire, well, we'll get it.